Welcome. Welcome. I'm Tim Fortescue. As those who join me each week know, I'm an IFS trained practitioner, and my specialty is spiritual growth and healing, working with some folks who've experienced religious trauma and some that are just seeking an ally in life or maybe on their spiritual journey. You can find out more about me on my website, faithfullygrowing.com. As we go throughout our time today, as usual, type your questions in the chat if you have them, and I'd be glad to engage with those questions at the end of our time. And if you're watching the recording, know that I continue to keep track of your questions. And so as you have questions, put them in and I will address them the next time that I go live, and try to do this each week on Tuesdays at this same time, which is 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern in the US. If you haven't already, I encourage you to like, share, subscribe, follow, whatever makes most sense for you, and share this content with others who you think may be encouraged by it and find it useful. And now let me give just a couple promotions of what I've got going on before I get into the content. First, one of the primary visions of Faithfully Growing is to make coaching accessible to all. And so if you have the capacity to go to my website and click donate, you can donate and make a tax-deductible donation through the nonprofit aspect of my practice to help keep IFS coaching accessible to all. And also, if you head over to my website, you can sign up for my 25 plus IFS guided meditations. And so I encourage you to head over and sign up for those if you think that they'd be helpful. Then if you need some support, I encourage you to check out the Faithfully Growing community. If you go over to the website and click on offerings, you will be able to click and find out more about the Faithfully Growing community. Provides a resource to have a weekly drop-in for practitioners or therapists who practice IFS, as well as those that are just on this parts work journey. And it's just for a small donation to my nonprofit yearly. You can have access to that and other resources. And so if you click offerings on my webpage, you'll be able to watch a short video that previews the community a little bit. And I encourage you to check it out for a month before you feel like you need to make a donation and see what you think. And then finally, I have a couple one-on-one slots open in my coaching practice. And so if you're looking for an IFS practitioner to go deeper with in your work, I encourage you to book a consult, and no obligation. I'd love to meet some of you regardless, and you can do that on the website too. And then if you have questions or comments, feel free to send me an email anytime to tim@faithfullygrowing.com, and I'd be glad to get back to you and engage with you some through email. Okay, well, let's get into our content for a bit. And for those that are watching, I realize I did not lower my shades, and so my face is very bright on one side, but we're just going to go with it for now. And so today I'm going to give you a little more content than I normally do, and then a brief meditation. And I'm going to talk to you about parts mapping, how to keep track of our inner system and parts. And want to do a plug too for the Centaur app, Sentur. I have no connection other than a couple messages back and forth with some of the folks there, but that has been a great resource to help me keep track of my parts and to guide in meditations to help me do that. And so check out Centaur if you haven't already. But our inner world is complex, many parts that can be hard to follow and keep track of, um, especially when several are active all at once. For example, and I apologize, I'm trying to get my screens in order here, but making a map of this inner world helps make it clearer and easier to see. And this can be useful both for the practitioner or therapist and the client during the internal family systems or IFS process. And no matter if you're working with adults, kids, or couples, I found that it can be helpful. And here's why making a map of your inner system may be helpful, and some things that I have found. First, it guides you through the process, ensuring that you understand each step and part along the way as you work, and it keeps those parts in front of you. And it shows the relationship inside, like conflicts and alliances with your parts. It systemically pinpoints the core components that are directly associated with challenges, aspirations, or visions of the future. And it helps separate parts from each other, starting what we call in IFS unblending. So those parts can give us some space so that they can gain a different perspective. We can gain a different perspective. And it allows the parts to see you for you, and for you to see your parts for those parts, and noticing the gifts that they bring. And it's a way to take notes or remember over time, which can be helpful for organizing information and recalling details later on, because I do notice themes, and you can keep track of those themes if you're able to keep track of your parts a little more. And it gives you a tool to reflect on parts between sessions if you're working with a practitioner, which can enhance the overall parts work process. And let me give you just a couple ways that you can externalize parts, because there are different ways that you can do that. And here are some of them. And then I'm going to lead us in just a brief meditation to check in with our system. And you may even want to do some parts mapping. If you have a pen or paper handy, I encourage you to grab that, and I'll guide you through that process in a bit. But let's look at some ways to externalize our parts a little more. First of all, drawing or painting on paper. And maybe if you're seeing someone or you're in a coaching group, you can have the practitioner to help you with that a little bit, but it allows for visual expression during the session. And sometimes I've done this with clients, the practitioner creating a map for notes or to show the client, aiding in understanding and visualization of concepts discussed. And I know I try to keep a running list of the parts that come up with my clients, and there are themes and insight gained from that. Sculpting parts by placing objects, cards, or people in the room, providing a tangible representation of inner dynamics. I know there are some interactive cards that I use sometimes with my clients that they found. Some find it useful, some find it overwhelming. So find what works for you, and maybe using dolls or puppets or scarves or other items to explore emotions and relationships in a nonverbal way. And clay, if you're tangible, for hands-on expression and creation, either in IFS sessions or on your own. Sand tray, having objects that you can work with to just kind of a normal sand tray, as you would have a lot of little objects that could be representative of parts, but this can externalize those parts a little bit, and you can put whatever objects that are helpful there. Or maybe a collage as a creative tool for assembling images and materials to convey personal narratives. And then maybe an IFS tool, like an upside down triangle, showing different parts of like the protectors, the managers, the firefighters, and then the exiles with self or belovedness at the center. And IFS tools also, like maybe a blank mandala for introspection and self-awareness. So those are a few things. Hopefully it stimulates your creativity that may help you to externalize your parts a little more. And like real maps, an inner system map can show many parts or zoom in on a few. And after making a map, clients can decide which parts they want to explore more with IFS. And a map also helps the practitioner or therapist spot parts that might cause trouble later or need attention after deeper work. It allows me to reflect more on those parts even after the sessions and make some notes and assist clients in that process ongoing. And so hopefully that was helpful. So I encourage you to, begin to externalize your parts. And let's put that into practice just a bit right now. And just go ahead and just settle in where you are. As you pause, focus on your breath. Just begin to notice your internal world. What parts are up? Or maybe you're triggered or have a trailhead that is bringing up parts. Just sit a minute and notice those parts. And as you've heard me say before, they could be thoughts, feelings, actions, impulses, beliefs. Maybe a part wants attention. There's another part that says, "What about me?" Just welcome them in. And as you welcome them in, just imagine if you're mapping yourself at the center, then maybe you want to just draw off kind of in a mind map kind of way, 4 to 6 parts that are coming up. Be aware of those parts that may be kind of managing your life, making lists, those parts that may be jumping in and criticizing, those parts that are trying to manage. Maybe there's a part underneath it all that just feels sadness. Maybe there are fearful parts. But our intention here is just to begin to get them external, maybe on paper if you're mapping them out. And just see if there's anything else. Before we wrap up, just if you're writing your parts down or if they're in your mind, just if you can visually go around, thank each one for their courage and coming forward. See if you can send them just a little compassion. As you notice them. And if it's hard or if there's some resistance, that may be another part that may be helpful to jot down to spend some time with later. Just take a bit as we begin to close just to express gratitude and compassion for the courage of each of your parts. And let them know that this is just the beginning. It doesn't have to be the last time. You can keep spending time with them and being curious, and you making notes that may change, be able to move things around. We just want to be curious. That's our intention here, to get to know these parts and so that they can know us. Then when it feels right for now, you can bring your attention back to the present moment. You can open your eyes if they were closed. And just continue about life, your day, your evening, and the world around you. But thanks so much for your courage in joining me for this live. Hope the insights were helpful, as well as hopefully you were able to connect with some of your parts. And if you have questions, type them in the chat, whether you're watching live or the recording, and I will answer those questions next week. I do these each Tuesday. If you join live, I will engage with your questions some during the live. But if you're watching a recording, know that I will get to your questions next week. And you can always watch a recording of this to hear the answers as best I can to your questions. But grateful for this community. Thanks again. Send me an email if you have questions to tim@faithfullygrowing.com. But have a great week and look forward to meeting again next time. All right, take care.